This is a Laker channel, not a Wolves.
Wait for the end.
What the hell? Oh. Bleed green. Bleed these nuts. Why is Jerry West's arm missing?
And we're back with another episode of NBA Observations on the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It is Gerald Glassford along with Stone Hansen, aka Report_Court, and Joe Soro, shilling the Lakers Cup right there for you at, of course, Ox1947 at LakersBall.com and Simblades with a Y.com. Want to go ahead and give a big shout out. Hopefully he will stop by. It is John Costa, Clutch Talk in Lakers Corner. Big shout out to those channels. The Lakerholics crew. Hopefully we'll be back later this weekend. Go ahead and check out Jamie and Laker Tom arguing at each other every week, along with Michael Heinrich trying to ease both of them down, and L. Rob laughing somewhere at them at Lakerholics.com. Plus also good friends. We'll start off with DBSH, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Yo! Also as well, of course, our good friends Empire Jeff TV covering the Lakers and the Dodgers. Lakers in 5. Also as well, John McCalian channel. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and make sure you subscribe and like all these places. The Legend, absolutely. Alfred Espen, all these great regulars. Go ahead and show out some love. And make sure you go ahead and check us out each and every time out by liking and subscribing. We're almost to 1,900 subscribers. And you can get us over that hump by subscribing today to get us the latest notifications out there on when we go live right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast. And I am still trying to update all the new members for the shout outs, so they will be coming for tomorrow's game. So we've got quite a few that we added on, thanks to Serge and his kindness in adding new members. So please become a member today and get the latest notifications, plus also as well inside information, articles, videos I put to you guys first. Also as well, of course, inside information when we go live in the air, plus those valuable emojis. Don't you want a stone emoji? The only way you can get one is, of course, right here, being a member at the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Well, the Lakers this week will be starting up with the in-season tournament. The in-season tournament for many teams starts tonight. And we are going to ask the question, should the Lakers go out again for the in-season tournament? It kind of taxed them last year. Wasn't the most advisable thing. Yes, they won the initial IST, but the residual fallout affected them for weeks on end afterwards. But so we'll talk about that. Plus, if they don't win it, who do we think will win it? We'll go ahead and talk about that on the show, plus the latest news and trends in the NBA. And Joe Soro has some things he wants to talk about as well. So first up, Stone Hansen. It is app report_Court Stone. Great to have you back, my friend. IST starts tonight. Again, you and I don't like the IST. I kind of come around on the play-in. Especially I think LeBron should have come around by the play-in because he was the first one to denigrate it. And look at him; he's like had to live off it the past 2 seasons. But be that as it may, the in-season tournament again. You mentioned it on Clutch Talk at Lakers Corner earlier today when you said that this isn't for us. This isn't for Joe Soro, Stone Hansen, John Costa, myself, or any of the NBA regulars out there. This is for the casual audience at large to get more in tune. I mean, what was the old adage that the casual audience doesn't get in touch with the NBA until Christmas time? So this is their way of trying to get people locked into the NBA a lot sooner, Stone.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, people tune in. The court looks cool to them, I guess, and it's you say the word tournament, and immediately, regardless of what people know about it, they get interested. And yeah, I mean, I don't think it matters at all, apart from the wins and losses, that it counts towards the regular season. But I'd rather not win the tournament and play an extra game because extra money in players' pockets doesn't do anything for me. And the other people, the vast majority of people are not like us watching this many games. Most people probably watch 20 games on average throughout the season. So if you can get them to watch an extra 3 or 4 throughout the in-season tournament, then it's done its job. So I think that's what they're really going for here. And whether I like it or not, if it brings in revenue for them, it's a success.
So let me talk to you now, Joe, aka Oxide47, LakersBall.com, and of course, Simblades, the company that you own, Simblades with Y.com. Plus, in 10 days on Steam, Corrupt Fighting Game Deluxe available for PC owners out there. PC gamers, rejoice! Corrupt is coming to you, COREUPT on Steam. Let me ask you this, Joe. You and I were going back and forth. I'm going to tell you my observations. I think they just really wanted that first IST. They played all out for it. And as we saw on that road trip afterwards, playing a really pathetic San Antonio team that they lost to and just looking really poor for the next, 4 to 6 weeks. I think it took a lot out of them. If it was me, I'd say, look, if you go 3-1, 4-1, you just play the regular games. You let somebody else win it. I'd be cool with that because playing that extra game, like Stone says, we didn't know at the time, Joe, but they balled out in those last 2 games in Vegas, and I think they paid a price for it.
Why would they pay a price that early in the season?
They looked tired for the next 2 to 3 weeks after that.
Was it they were tired, or was it the fact that you had a coach who didn't condition them enough to handle that kind of load? LeBron James is the only player on this team that's old. Yes, AD has miles, but AD should be able to play hard in December at age 30. So now who else are we talking about? Are we talking about Reeves? Are we talking about D'Angelo? Are we talking all these guys are in their 20s? A lot of these guys are in their mid-20s. I'm not going to accept that, Gerald. I'm not going to accept that they played their butts off and they're tired after this. They played 1 extra game. They didn't play 5 extra games. If it was 5 extra games, balling out like a playoff game, okay, I'll buy that one.
Yeah, but they were gassed out on that trip right afterwards. But again, that's my opinion, and you have yours on.
You can't. So. Well, if you're going to get gassed out in December, then what are we doing here?
Well, you talked about how they sucked. You talked about how they sucked in December and January in the first place.
Yeah, they suck because their talent is deficient, and apparently their coach didn't care.
Not hanging on to wins every win.
How come Indiana wasn't tired, or the Celtics weren't tired, or how come every time we talk about anything involving excessive work, the Lakers are tired? How come they're the only ones getting tired? You think the league gives a shit if they're tired? Are you here to play basketball or not? You all allowed this to happen too, by the way. Don't you guys have a player association? Couldn't they have said, hey, look, we don't need that extra $500,000. We really don't. We really don't. But I do like Stone's idea in that there's got to be some incentives coming into this. Otherwise, I don't even know what the hell this is, other than pretty courts. That's it. It's a pretty court. That's the benefit right now of this particular tournament.
I actually feel like they're ugly, but a lot of people think they're good looking.
I'll tell you what, all the courts look like garbage now because all you see is advertisement. I mean, the refs were always ugly already, and you have to look at that Emirates crap on their stupid uniforms. They've become a advertising whore like every other team out there, of course. It is what it is. We have to go with it. But we're still going to wait to see if this is actually going to benefit anything relevant. Right now, it's pride in winning something during the year, but it doesn't mean anything. The Maui Invitational at the beginning of the college basketball season. That's it. That's what it is. And I'm sorry, folks. if we're going to talk about people being tired and people not making it through an 82-game season, you sit there and you've had complaints from your teams, from management, from executives that it's a rigorous season. And what does Adam Silver and the PA and the owners do? They created more games. They're going the opposite way. Oh, you guys are tired? Oh, you want more of a 70-game season? Oh, sure. Let's investigate that. Oh, by the way, you're gonna play 83 to 85 games, depending on how you sit. What? What are you talking about? We're talking about less. You added 2, maybe 3 games more, depending on what happens. Well, then make the playoffs. Then don't play hard for the tournament. I mean, I don't know. I feel like all we do all day is sit in this negative pot of crap. But can you blame us? Because if you listen to me during a Dodgers show, it's completely the opposite. Because the opposite is happening. It's not like we want to sit here and stew in negativity and the negativity soup. We don't. But seriously, what is this? What is going on? What is the meaning of all this? Other than pretty courts to some. That's my question.
It's not geared for us, Joe. It's geared for the casual audience.
Okay, we're the fans, right, of this damn game, aren't we? Why aren't they geared to us? We're the one watching 82 games.
Because we're the ones that are watching 82 games. They want to get.
So you're going to cater to the dickweeds that are watching 15 games a year? What about the other games? Why would you cater to those people? The same people who go around and look at box scores and they think they know how to judge talent.
Well, then that's up to you, Joe. That's again.
It's not up to me, unfortunately. I'm a nobody.
They're creating. This is a TV event. They just signed a huge new contract. That's exactly why they're doing it. It's all about the money. Just saying.
Very uncomfortable silence.
I know. Well, we're waiting on a response from you. I mean, were there other things that you said you wanted to address some things on this show? So I'm going to make sure that you have plenty of time to go ahead and bring it in. So,
well, addressing certain things that are revolving the Lakers, there's some information that I've come across that I cannot believe went past me. I am actually embarrassed that I did not know the details of this. But it's going to veer off the in-season tournament thing. Are we transitioning now to the next subject, Stone? Are you okay with that?
Yep, I have no.
Because this is further in the future type stuff. So we're planting to seed a little bit more now. I was actually talking to Empire Jeff about this. He's going to be doing a segment on his show about this, and he had mentioned it to me, but I didn't know. I did not know the details until just recently. Bloodhound, thank you for the info, by the way, because I've been researching it since. But the Guggenheims own the Dodgers. We all know this, right? Minus the parking lot at Chavez Ravine. The Guggenheims bought 27 shares from AEG. AEG?
Yeah. AEG, yes.
AEG.
27%.
27% in 2021. I'm seriously, I am an absolute bewilderment on how I missed this. And I've been sitting here thinking about is there any way the Guggenheims can buy the Lakers? They already bought a piece from AEG. So AEG owns the crypto.com arena, and they also own the LA Kings. They have the first right to refuse they have the right to first refusal for purchase, right? So if Jeannie decides that she wants to sell the team, they get first dibs. Well, when I started researching even more, I got very excited at this. Now, Jeannie's not in any way, shape, or form in terms of gonna sell this team. But she is 63, and I'm curious on what's going to happen in the next 5 to 7 years if the Lakers stink after this year even more. Because I would say maybe there's a slight chance that LeBron retires, especially if the Lakers don't make the playoffs. And what happens after that? How are they going to rebuild? Will they rebuild? Will they be able to get a team quickly into title contention? Let's just say they don't. Let's say they are middle of the road at best, 6 seed, 7, 8 seed again, playing team for the next 5 years. Does she finally get tired and realize, you know what, it's time for me to go? That's a serious question now.
I mean, I don't know her. That's what makes it difficult. But everything publicly that she presents seems like it's a keep it in the family business. But I don't know her personally, so it makes it impossible for me, really.
I just wanted to, while we're talking, just want to post for the latest Lakers injury status report. D'Angelo and Anthony Davis are probable for tomorrow's game against the Memphis Grizzlies, and Jackson Hayes is questionable with a right ankle sprain at this point in time. So JHS, Vanderbilt, and Seawood are still out at this point in time.
Left groin soreness?
I guess so. Must have gotten it one of the G League games.
Must have gotten it spanking it, doing nothing. What the hell does that even mean? How do you ruin your groin when you don't do shit? So tomorrow, John Moran isn't playing. Are we up to date on if Desmond Bane is playing?
I've not heard. I'll check on it right now. Go ahead.
Would doubt it.
Okay, so their backcourt is gone.
Scottie Pippen Jr. revenge game.
Okay, I don't understand. Every time an ex-Laker plays for another team, it's a revenge game.
Well, he actually said it. He's actually said in comments. By the way, Bane is ruled out for this Lakers.
Scottie Pippen Jr. said this is a revenge game.
Anytime he plays the Lakers.
Really?
Yes.
So who's going to have the nuts to shut him up?
We don't have any. Hey, whoever wants to play defense the most.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to really let Scottie Pippen Jr. talk to you like that? Where's the balls on this team, too? Like, LeBron should seek him and just annihilate him, no? LeBron's not that kind of player, though, is he?
It's a smaller guy, though. He should, if they switch
if he's going to be playing in the backcourt, LeBron can play point guard every now and then, right? So who's he going to guard if he's... Let's say the Lakers come in big. Let's say they have Jackson Hayes, AD. Is Scottie going to guard Reeves? Is he going to guard Rui? No. Point guard LeBron. Probably going to have to guard him, right? He's the one with the ball. Maybe?
Mm-hmm.
No?
Hopefully.
So I'm wondering if J.J. Redick can create that, because I knew Darvin Ham for some weird reason wasn't. Frank Vogel, I don't know. Maybe he was. Maybe he wasn't. But I know for a fact, if I was a coach and Scottie Pippen Jr. is talking smack, I'd be like, go take him and put him in the hoop. You gotta create some drama to get you pumped up, right? After a while, you get bored. That's what the greats usually did. They would make stuff up sometimes even. But this is something you don't have to make up. This is something where you can go over there and tell them, know your place, boy. Know your place. Keep this closed. You ain't that good.
Okay. So, Stone, let me bring it back to you. Tomorrow it is Memphis Grizzlies. You keep a good eye on them because you are there locally. They have been a team that we thought would come back to prominence after the injuries that they suffered last season. But they've kind of done it different ways because they've still incurred injuries this season.
Yeah.
A lot is predicated off their bench. At times, Zach Edey starts. At times, Zach Edey comes off the bench. He's been playing solid for the most part. Jay Huff has been a revelation for them and a sore spot for me because I thought he should have been given a better chance for the Lakers. And Scottie Pippen Jr., who I missed on, I just didn't think he was at that level. He has surprised me. He's found a shooting stroke. So your thoughts on the Memphis Grizzlies? They're no joke anymore, Stone.
Yeah, I mean, I think teams just are overlooking them right now. They're kind of just playing patch it up basketball where they have a lot of guys that are trying to fill the void left behind their backcourt. I mean, you have John Bain, probably their two best players out. So that leaves a lot of usage, a lot of shots, a lot of offense that has to go through a lot of guys. Um, I was really high on their pick this year, Jalen Wells, and he's been really good for them. He's been starting for them actually in place of Bain, and he's been shooting really well. He's a good two-way player. Jake LaRavia, another guy they drafted. They're just really good at developing guys. I mean, they're one of the best development teams that there is. And last year, they didn't even really have a chance to get that because even they had at one point like 10 guys on the injured reserve list. So that in this year, when it's your two best players, it's still worth noting. But when you still have a lot of bench guys that can contribute, they're making the most of it. And I think other teams are just overlooking it and not taking them as seriously as they should. Again, it's 1/10 of the way into the season or 1/8 of the way. So I don't put too much stock into this part of the season, but so far they're doing good with what they have.
So if that's the case, Joe, as he's typing furiously into the chat, the best Lakers chat room that's out there at the Lakers Fast Break, you have a team that on the surface seems to be without two of its three top players. Should be an easier game on the surface. But again, this team under Taylor Jenkins, Joe, has surprised a lot of people with how they're playing so far this season.
Continuity's probably playing a part and putting in pieces on the team that's helping. The benefit of them kind of hitting the skids last year was the fact that they were able to get better draft selection in the draft, and they got a player that could be a huge benefit in the long run. Still have to wait to see how he develops because the NBA is very quick at understanding what's in front of them, and if they can exploit any weaknesses, they will, especially when it comes to big men who can't shoot or laterally move on defense. And Zach Edey, for example, I use the comp of Brook Lopez. If he develops like Brook Lopez did the latter half of his career, he's going to have a very, very good career. But if he ends up not working on those 2024 NBA style skill sets, being able to shoot, being able to handle a pick and roll to a degree, getting out and guarding somebody out there when they spread the floor out, then he's gonna struggle and become Jahlil Okafor. I mean, that's worst case scenario. I don't think he's gonna be Okafor, but if he really didn't care, he could turn into that. John Morant was injured almost all of last year. That's like picking up John Morant as a free agent now. He was gone for a long time, almost all year last year. So you really didn't have him, and now it's almost like you insert a guy that you haven't had in a long time that's an all-star, and that's going to make a huge difference. And then Desmond Bane is one of the best perimeter shooters in the game, and you have good defense with Marcus Smart. Taylor Jenkins is kind of gotten used to this crew a little bit, so maybe his skill set's been able to open up a little bit more. Better ideas, better execution from guys that's built this continuity. There's not as much pressure on the Memphis Grizzlies. That's why probably Scottie Pippen Jr. is doing well. Same with Zach Edey to a degree as well. So those things all kind of maybe came together and are now in the first month are working for them. We'll see how good they are tomorrow. If the Lakers beat them down tomorrow, then maybe there's a different story there. But I'm expecting a competitive game tomorrow.
Before we get into the rest of the league, Stone, with some of your surprises, and both you and Joe as well, on some of the teams that have been, interesting for you to watch so far this season. When it comes to the Lakers, I've said repeatedly the next 2 weeks before they meet up against the Nuggets on the 28th, I believe, they've got a lot of winnable games. And there is no reason, despite our grievances on this, the team, the depth, we talked about what they need. I like your point. They need depth everywhere, Gerald. It's like you were saying earlier with John Costa. There's a lot of winnable games on the schedule, even the road games at San Antonio, at New Orleans, back to back. There are a lot of winnable games coming up due to injuries, due to circumstances, due to the fact that they, on paper, should be better. There's no reason heading into that Denver game they shouldn't be at least at 10, 11 wins by the time they get there. Do you foresee that? And do you see for giving the Lakers enough confidence to go ahead and compete with right now what may be the NBA's hottest team outside of Cleveland and a possible fourth MVP for Nikola Jokic?
Yeah, I mean, it's feasible. I don't know if they do it or not, but it's feasible. I mean, I think they just kind of have to approach it game by game instead of looking at it in a broad spectrum, because then I think that's when you start to skip over games, not take them as seriously as you should. So if they take them game by game and everyone, for the most part, is healthy, I mean, I don't see why they couldn't, but yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to whether they can stay healthy and if they can have the right approach head into these games. But I am interested to see for this stretch, but also like season long, how they hold up with their big man depth, because we've talked about it before. We all know the depth isn't good, but if something does legally happen here with Jackson Hayes, we are down to pretty much AD and Koloko as bigs. And then I'm wondering where we go from there, because one injury and it's a rough ride. So I imagine they're gonna play Hayes as much as they can for as long as they can. But if something goes awry, the Lakers don't really have an insurance policy there.
Joe, let's get into it right now. Again, we've talked about it before on the show. Again, a lot of winnable games upcoming for the Lakers. So the Lakers do have every opportunity to pad their record going in for the next couple of weeks before they head up against the Nuggets on the 28th. But who are some of the teams that are actually surprising to you so far this early part of the season, now that we're 10, 11 games in for the most part? I know Atlanta just went into Boston and shocked the Celtics, although that's probably the shining win for their entire season because they're still under 500, like virtually almost all the Eastern Conference. But who are the surprises so far for you as far as teams so far this season?
Surprising as in they're playing better than
Either which way. I mean, it could be like Milwaukee, being in the dumpster fire.
You can't really pick any other team than Milwaukee.
Okay.
2-8. No
Mhm.
one. That team should not be 2-8. So, but we've been hinting at this for about a year and change that something's brewing in Milwaukee. And it really came to a head when Lillard got there. And I thought, man, getting Lillard was really going to help this team because now they have somebody that can actually make a shot when they need a shot. And then not too long after he arrived, he was talking about how he was homesick and how all that stuff was going on. I'm like, oh, man, this guy's homesick and he played in Portland. It must be really bad in Milwaukee.
If the Bucks lose tonight against the Raptors, they will have the worst record in the NBA.
I don't know what's going to happen, but something's happening there. I don't know. Is Giannis going to get traded? But then who? Our first instinct was Miami, but they don't have anything to trade. So who's going to get Giannis if Giannis goes to management and goes, I'm done, guys. I want out? Who? Is it going to be Oklahoma City that says, hey, we got the assets, we have the draft picks, let's go after it and get Giannis and team him up with Shai Gilgeous and Chet? Whatever they want on that team other than those two. Do they do that? What do you think, Stone? Is that something they would do? Would they break up what they're doing right now?
They'd have to put
Right.
Hartenstein in the package, by the way.
They can. I've seen variations of things where they could do it with Hartenstein, Dort, and just like 8 firsts if they wanted. I don't think they do. I think they. I'm skeptical if they should, but I don't think they do. Presti very much seems to be in on this organic build of build it organically, draft your players, and they have this funnel of young talent on cheap contracts when that's premier with the CBA. That's sort of how that's the best way to build your teams now with rookie contracts and scalable contracts. Does he pull a trigger? I'm skeptical. It's hard to pass up a multiple time MVP like Giannis. I would probably do it, but whether they do it or not, I'm skeptical.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
My first instinct really was Gold State. Gold State's going to pull out everything they can to try to get Giannis to Golden State. There had been rumors about him and Golden State, not crazy ones, but it's been lingering, and I think there's some truth to it. And Jacob over there and that crew is very, very anxious.
Do they have enough? You think though?
I don't think so, but
Me either.
what if a third team works with Jacob and management to broker that deal? He's got a pretty good.
There's a dark horse team, I think, that is interesting. The Houston Rockets.
a lot of assets there too.
That's the team. A lot of young players and a lot of firsts, and I think a combination of those things could get it done.
Here's why I'm not picking Houston. I'm pretty sure that Giannis is going to want to play with another star, at least another star, so that he can compete for a title right away. If they trade him to Houston, there's really you got Sengun, you got really no one there that's kind of box office.
Yeah, you're banking on Şengün, but that's
yeah, but he's not going to. He could be an all-star, but he's not going to be an elite player. So I don't think he'd want to go to Houston.
The final team that could be interesting maybe is the Spurs. If you have Vassell, you have Sohan, you have a lot of firsts.
What about New Orleans? They have a lot of assets they could throw at Milwaukee.
Same reason why Houston.
Yeah, it's possible, but it's, I think, like Joe's saying, that similar of there's no stars really. And the other interesting thing
send
is
Zion over there.
So San Antonio is an interesting one. If Giannis wants to wait maybe a couple more years at the latest to team up with Victor to start winning, I would just be concerned about the coaching, though, because I think Popovich has coached a couple years more than he should. Who are you going to bring in to kind of put this all together?
Well, he's not coaching right now. I don't believe he's back on the sidelines.
Yeah, but he's still the head coach. He's just on leave. But the Spurs probably have to make a decision on who's going to be their captain if they were to get another star to play with Victor. I know if I'm Giannis, I'm looking at Oklahoma City and I'm looking at Golden State, because I would want to go to war with Steph. Still has something there. I would definitely want to roll with Oklahoma City. And then San Antonio becomes an interesting spot because I believe Victor is going to be a multi-MVP, and he's going to be stockpiling Defensive Player of the Year awards. And if he doesn't get injured, there's going to be a run there. And it will be, I mean, imagine having Giannis and Victor, the two best perimeter and big men defenders on the same team. Well, it would be pretty lethal, especially if you build around them, which I know that the Buford and that crew will make happen.
What do you think about that, Stone?
Yeah, I mean, that's as a basketball fan, I'd love to see that. I think they're on the verge of having enough to get it done. I don't know if for sure they do, but I think they're on the verge. If OKC wants Giannis, OKC will get Giannis, is sort of where I fall. They have more assets to blow away than anyone and still be a really competitive team. Um, and Chet being as good a shooter as he is changes everything, because now you can play Chet with Giannis and not have to worry about your spacing with your center, and be totally fine. And Giannis can dominate inside, and Chet still can, but he's also a great shooter. Obviously, he's injured right now, but and it gives them a position of need, right? That they're pretty thin on bigs at the moment because all their bigs are injured. Not to say that they would do this immediately, but just for the future. And your two best players are your bigs. So if one were to go down, you still are looking pretty decent inside. Um, I would do it if I'm the Thunder. I'm really skeptical that Presti pulls that trigger with the way he sort of built out this team of using these assets to keep funneling in cheap talent that is good. Um, but I mean, certainly Golden State has Steph, Victor. Obviously, playing with either of those guys, I think would just be a ton of fun for him and for us as fans. But whether either team has quite enough, I think, is sort of where both those things fall a little bit short.
Let me ask you this. Speaking of trading big guys, I know that Walker Kessler has been much of the eye of the beholder for a lot of fans out there that want to trade for him. The Lakers have been mentioned, New Orleans have been mentioned, but yet they haven't pulled the trigger on a trade yet to Utah. Especially New Orleans has a glaring hole there. The Lakers, we need one. You see what's going on with other teams out there that do need a big guy. I know they're not exactly great demand. Walker Kessler himself has been repeatedly benched so far this season in favor of Kyle Filipowski. So, Joe, I'll bring it to you first. What if OKC now playing like 6'5", 6'6" guys at center due to the fact they've lost both of their centers? What if they swoop in and get Walker Kessler before us? Wouldn't take much.
I don't know. I guess
for them.
What do they do when everybody gets back?
It's just another young asset. Just some more depth and just another young asset to have.
I'm pretty sure Danny Ainge is going to want to get 4 first-round picks because it's Oklahoma City.
Well, I'm just saying that would be interesting to see that now that they again are starting, are playing 6'5", 6'6", 6'8" guys in their rotation at the center spot. They are super small and could possibly be willing to make a trade for a center now just to fill things up in the meantime while Hogan was out 8 to 10 weeks.
The trade market doesn't open though, right, until December 15th, I believe.
Yeah, well, but a player like Walker Kessler is ready right now.
Ainge is going to want at least 2 first-round picks, correct?
Yeah, but I thought December 15th was for just players who signed at specific points in time. I
don't think the market's open yet. I don't believe. I could be wrong.
Okay, well, I'll have to check into it because I thought it was where a player like Kessler, who is just already on a standard contract that didn't get touched in the offseason, didn't sign to an extension or anything like that, was an eligible player to be traded now. But you're right, that may be the case that December 15th is open. But I thought December 15th was just based on exactly who signed extensions in the offseason.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I can check on that. I thought, but I mean, I could very well be wrong. But also, like, what incentive does Utah have to trade Kessler? I mean, obviously picks, I guess, but
he doesn't seem like he's in their long-term plans, Stone, because they start him, then they bench him, then they start him, then they bench him, and now it's the point this year where he had a step backwards last year. This year, it's been like, okay, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And they're with Kyle Filipowski and his girlfriend, bringing that into the fray. He seems to be a pretty good fit with Markin and the rest of the Jazz right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's 2 things to that, I think. One is that the Jazz and the Wizards both came out swinging to tank this year. They if they were looking to actually be serious and win some games this year, they would not be bringing Clarkson and Sexton and Collins all off the bench. They're starting all their young guys and they want to tank.
Thank you, Corbina. So it is the CBA states that a free agent who signs to an NBA team can't be traded for 3 months until December 15th, whichever's later. So someone like Walker Kessler, if you had the corresponding players who were not signed over the course of the summer, can be traded by now. Yeah. Thank you, Corbina. Appreciate it.
So I think they're trying to tank. And here's my other secret. Not really a secret, but I don't think Walker Kessler is very good. I don't think he's a very good NBA player. I know the stats. People are going to look at the stats and be like, "Oh, he gets double doubles and blocks." I don't think he's that good. Defensively, he's a block chaser. He certainly gets blocks by trying to get blocks at the expense of other team defense. And he's big. He rebounds. He has a lot of opportunistic scoring, but I really don't think he's that good of an NBA player personally. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that probably, but I don't find him as a super valuable asset. But OKC just got him recently, and they're a young team, and he's a young player. I just don't really see, like, if the right offer comes along, I'm sure they'd take it. And, if OKC is willing to spend a few first, then maybe. But I don't really see them trying to push him out right now necessarily, especially after Taylor Hendricks went down for the season with that terrible injury.
Joe, any thoughts to add on to that? Or again, the Lakers, as Stone said, they need help everywhere. They just need depth at this point in time. I understand a lot of people are pointing to the center position, but obviously we still need help on the perimeter. Wings are still an issue. At this point in time, you're looking to get what you can, but I understand the market opens up even more come December 15th.
It becomes Groundhog's Day on this show about the realization and the realistic options that the Lakers are going to have this year. The reality and the realistic options are the Lakers are probably going to have to roll with what they have. They just don't have anything to give. And I don't think the Lakers are going to mortgage the 29 and 31 pick for anyone of substance. Just not going to happen. It's not worth it. You're going to trade 2 picks in 29 and 31 for Walker Kessler? No, I got to do that. Even Rob is smart enough not to do that. There would have to be a enormous shift, seismic earthquake shift of good fortune for the Lakers to give something that they do have. Let's say an expiring contract of D'Angelo for 18 mil. You throw in maybe Rui in there or Reeves to take it to 30 mil and then get someone that's probably making in and around that kind of number. That would be a legitimate third guy on this team, and they can roll to see if they can maybe make it between LeBron, that third guy, and AD. That's it. That's the only way. But I don't know anybody would be considered the third guy and a bona fide third guy that'd be making 30 mil. It's not Jeremy Grant. I don't consider him a third guy. He's just a overpaid, perfect timing paid guy. That happens sometimes in the league. Are you going to go get help from Chicago with Zach LaVine? Well, he's making almost 50 mil. So that means now you got to trade half the team. Oh, the new rules say you can't throw in a few minimum contracts anyways there because the idiots last year decided that they wanted to sign this stupid CBA and completely kill any chance at improving your team. Oh, and coincidentally, this last NFL trade deadline was the most exciting trade deadline the NFL's ever had, probably since the early 90s. This was their day. The NBA owned the trade deadline. Now the NFL has it, as if they didn't have everything already. That's your fault, Adam Silver, and that's your fault, the NBA, by doing this. For what? So that Zion Williamson will sign in New Orleans? Did you really want that? Did you really want that? Did you really want that? Well, look what you're getting for it. You're getting gumbo eating, crawfish stuffing Zion Williamson. Do you think if Zion was drafted by Miami, you think he'd be in this bad a shape? I don't think so. I think Pat Riley would have put his foot in his ass, and he probably would have been motivated. And Eric Spoelstra was one of the best coaches in the NBA. He would have gone on him too. But New Orleans got him. And he's withering away in his own saturated fat. And it continues to happen. Anthony Davis. Did you not learn your lesson with Anthony Davis? Arguably the greatest talent of the last, like in terms of total talent, someone who could do everything and is a big guy the last decade. What happened with him in New Orleans? Nothing. Second round appearance until he got to LA and actually started winning, right? We're going to have to wait another month and 3 days, folks. And I don't even know if that's even going to matter. So just enjoy the games. Enjoy LeBron doing his last few games here, the last whatever year or two. Enjoy those games, those triple doubles, and respect the amazing ability. But as far as contending, it doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good. We'll see.
So with that, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is NBA Observations with Joe Soro, a.k.a. Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. And, of course, Simblades with Y.com, along with Stone Hansen at report_court on Twitter. So for the final few minutes, again, Stone, did you have any surprise teams? So we were talking so long on the surprise teams for Joe. We wanted to make sure we got yours. Are there any surprise teams for you that stand out so far this season?
I mean, again, it's early. I don't put a ton of stock into this early into the season. Cavs, obviously, I don't think most people expected them to be 12-0, even though they're a good team. But I didn't necessarily expect that hot of a start. I think the Sixers being 2-7. I mean, we knew they were going to have injuries, but this is a pretty rough start for them for a early hole to crawl out of. The Pelicans have been really injured. They're the Memphis of last season, where it's just injury after injury. I know they just announced Jose Alvarado is going to be out another 6 weeks for them. So I think it's him, CJ McCollum. They just got Trey Murphy back, but Zion went down. It's just injury after injury after injury for this team. So them being 3-8, I think starts with the injury situation that they have. I think you start looking at them as a possible tank team, someone to eliminate out of maybe the play-in contention early on, just because all those injuries that they have are weeks and weeks, which is not good, obviously, for them. But I think those are probably my most surprising teams, to be honest with you. Maybe the Nets being 5-6. I didn't expect them to be near 500. I thought they'd probably be 2-7 at this point. But yeah, that's probably the extent of my surprises so far, along with what Joe said.
Any more did you had in mind, Joe? Because I want to make sure that you got. I mean, we talked about the lowest of the low with Doc Rivers steering that sinking ship right now. Anybody reach out on the other end as far as being a surprise to you?
I mean, their three main guys for the Sixers have been injured. Paul George did come back, but okay, what do you want them to do? Let them get healthy and we'll see what happens there. I think Milwaukee has been teasing us on a disaster, but I still didn't believe that they would start the season 2-8. I thought they'd be a 500 team maybe at the very least. So 2-8 is still a surprise to me. You can say that the Phoenix start is surprising, or the Golden State start is surprising, but it's not. If you really paid attention to what Golden State did in the offseason, it made a lot of sense. They upgraded. We talked about this during the draft and during free agency. They had upgraded. They were better. Better doesn't necessarily mean they're going to contend, but I'm saying they got better by letting Clay go, because Clay is hurting. He's hurting forever at this point. and they added talent on that team, and that talent was tailor-made for what Steve Kerr's doing there. And you know, because you know who these players are. Phoenix is a surprise, but it's not, because that Phoenix is always that team if they're healthy. Well, Bradley Beal's playing. I know that's a surprise, but you don't go into a season a lot of times really going, okay, Phoenix is going to suck because we know Bradley Beal is going to miss 64 games. You don't really know that. I mean, you can bet on it and probably have a good chance at getting it. But if you're looking at just what the team is going into a season and saying, well, they have Durant, they have Bradley, and they have Booker. Well, that's a lot of talent, guys, if that's playing and you're seeing it happen. The only problem is Durant blew a tire. So that's probably why they were playing so well, because he was playing his ass off, and there's no depth on that team, and here you go. Dallas is kind of, but it's too early. I'd say I need 30 games to really get a good assessment on what's likely to happen for the rest of the year versus not.
It's early enough that bad teams can resurrect their seasons, and good teams can go on some losing streaks.
Don't forget, Utah, I think, was a 1 seed in the December. Remember 2 years ago?
Yeah.
When they traded Gobert?
Yeah.
They were balling.
Them and the Wizards came out swinging, starting all their rookies this year. Though they wanted to tank for Cooper Flag this year. And
Cooper Flag, by the way, sweats like Patrick Ewing.
I'm that level of sweater whenever.
What is the deal with that guy? Every time I see him, he looks like somebody just dumped water on him.
Yeah, I can relate to that, unfortunately.
You're like my cousins. My cousins are like that too.
But I noticed your latest video on your Twitter handle @report_court kind of delved into the Flag situation just a little bit, Stone.
Yeah, I was just watching a couple of his games today, showing a couple of things I saw with him. I think he's a good passer, really good defender. I mean, I haven't dug super deep in this class, but I would probably bet that he's going to be my number one. But yeah, I mean, I think the Jazz and the Wizards took the smart approach, and I question why more teams don't do this. Of if you know you're going to be a bad team or a team that's really fighting just to try and get into the play-in, just start your season off by tanking. Get your young guys more reps, get them more developmental time, and go into the season with the expectation of getting a high pick. Because a lot of these teams wait until 30, 40 games into the season to be like, okay, let's start our young guys now, or wait for an injury to force their hand. And I think starting out the season like that with your young guys playing a lot and the expectation of not winning a lot of games because of it, is sort of the right approach to go with. So I actually commend them for going that way.
Last question I think we'll hit, because I think that'll take a couple minutes to talk about leading into tomorrow night's game against the Memphis Grizzlies. Stone, Joe, I'll start off with you, Joe. I know you mentioned already in the chat, but for our audio listeners, Endorphin's asking, Stone, Gerald, Jones, shouldn't Vincent be starting instead of Reddish? He's played a ton of minutes off the bench, provide us zero offense. I mean, he makes like one bucket. And I remember, I don't know if you were on with us, Stone, on the last time when he scored a 3-pointer, I said, is that the rest? I think that's the last points he will make in the game. Sure enough, it was. So, Joe, Vincent, again, he is afraid to shoot. He is absolutely afraid to shoot. So he does provide gritty defense at times, but he is overmatched and oversized on a frequent basis. Your thoughts on Gabe Vincent? Yeah, I don't know. He's that reliable veteran that these coaches love to go by. That, like almost not a little bit of the Prince situation, but then again, should he stay on the bench or should he start for the Lakers?
Basketball has a minor league team like baseball too. I wish they would adopt the DFA in basketball, because that's what I would do with Gabe Vincent. For those of you who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, DFA stands for Designated for
Free agent.
Assignment.
Oh, yeah, DFA for assignment.
Yeah,
You're right.
thanks for
Okay.
interrupting me, Gerald. Again, getting
Sorry.
it wrong. DFA.
Kiss my butt.
Yeah, KSA. I get it. Don't interrupt me. That's what you get for interrupting me. So sit in it.
Shut up.
The DFAs. What that does is it allows you to finally just understand that you're not good enough. And we can't do that in the NBA because guaranteed contracts and stupid CBA stipulations. So the Lakers can't go and bring somebody up of any relevance. It's a death trap. And Gabe Vincent is one of the major spikes of that death trap. He is so bad. He's making. He almost makes Max Christie even with him. And the reason why that is because you chose this guy from another team when he was relatively playing well, and then you bring him on and he's bad. Another Miami player, and a Kendrick Nunn clone in a lot of ways. So what are you gonna do now? You're not getting the right draft picks other than Connect falling to you. You're not picking the right free agents when you can use an exception to get one. You sign the wrong guys to $8 million contracts who can't even get off the bench in front of a rookie who's struggling. Where do you go from here with Gabe Vincent? If you're afraid to shoot in 2024, you're as useful as me at this point for NBA basketball. Seriously. If he's afraid to shoot, what's his purpose? Let's say I'm afraid to shoot and Gabe Vincent is afraid to shoot. We're the same. He's just like me, except he's in the NBA and I'm not. He's doing exactly what I'm doing, nothing. And just like how I discussed how Durant blew a tire because there's overall a lack of depth anyways in the NBA because of these salaries. Denver's not very stacked. Even to some degree, Boston's really not that stacked. But what's great about Boston is they have the perfect starting lineup for what they do. Everyone is very, very good at what they do, and they work very well. The continuity, the being able to move Porzingis in and out if you need him, if not, that stuff all works well. And that comes with good management and good coaching all in one with players that understand their roles. And they're very, very talented too. But as far as the Lakers are concerned, it's AD, LeBron having to do triple doubles every other game. And then you have maybe one or two guys that are playing well during that particular game, like Austin Reeves or D'Angelo Russell. If D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves are missing shots, is Rui going to pick up the slack? Okay, cool. Let's say he does, but you still need more. You need Gabe Vincent to come off the bench and at least give something in case D'Angelo is not giving something. But if you got your 2 and your 1 point guards by position giving you dick in a league where point guards and guards in general need to be shooting well and consistent for 48 minutes, how the hell is LeBron and AD going to survive this?
So with that, it is NBA observations. One last question before we go, but make sure you go ahead and check out Joe Soro. Simply at simblades.com and Oxide247 at LakersBall.com. And then, of course, Stone Hansen at report_court. This will be an easy and quick question. Easiest question before we head on out. And that is from he who shall not be named as far as, where was it at? Are we, here's high octane. To the panel, has Bronny been worse than you expected? No, I thought he was going to be hot garbage. I thought he was going to be, not an NBA player. So it's.
Why is garbage hot, by the way? Who burns garbage?
It
puts it in the dumpster.
Stone, what is your thoughts on Bronny? Has he been worse than you expected? Because I'm pretty sure I know what Joe's answer is.
No, I mean, this is about as bad as I expected. That's about it. I don't have much to add to that.
Yeah, it's just that simple. I mean, even at the G League level, he's struggling, so it's going to take some time. But the problem is he should be getting a full year at the G League, not this half at home, half being on the road with dad stuff. I just think that's detrimental to his development. Joe, any thoughts on Bronny? Are you surprised that you're seeing what you're seeing out of Bronny at this point?
No, he doesn't belong in the NBA. He doesn't belong in the G League either. He belongs at home.
Well, problem child, that goes without saying that he needed to stay in college. Yes, of course he needed to stay
He
in
barely
college.
could play in college.
Averaged 5 points.
Barely played in college. Barely was effective in college.
But we signed him to a 4-year contract, problem child. What are you going to do at this point? The Lakers did what they did.
I'd like to stop talking about him.
Yeah. Unfortunately, our chat still keeps bringing him up.
Yeah,
So.
I'd rather not think about him or watch him. He's not an NBA player, and he was barely a college. I don't even think he was a college player, to be honest with you.
5 points a game. Although, again, he's coming back for the heart ailment.
Now, if you wanted to give him a shot, if I was his pops, I would have told him to stay at USC until you were ready for the NBA. And if you weren't ready for the NBA, don't bother.
Musselman's a good coach.
Go sell advertisements at a marketing agency. I don't know what that guy's going to do. Whatever.
Musselman's a good coach. I really think that he missed a boat on it. Should have stayed, like you said, Deep Purple. Should have stayed at USC. So yeah.
Yeah, it's again, this is Groundhog's Day over and over and over and over again. This is why I think at this point it's better to just assess each game as its own world instead of continually to having the audience listen to the same trash every show. You all know, whether you want to believe it or not, deep down, if a gun was in your head, you're going to say what I'm saying right now. LeBron Jr. sucks at NBA basketball and sucks at basketball at the high levels. And it will never change.
Stone, do you think Bryce is a better prospect? Heavy Duty is asking.
No.
Because there's a real possibility he could. Well, what I said with LeBron, the reason why he would continue to do those 1-on-1s is to stay with the Lakers until Bryce gets drafted by them.
I mean, maybe, but Bryce isn't going to get drafted any higher than the 50s if he were to get drafted either, because he's just a worse player than Bronny. He was coming off of the bench in high school, like averaging like 4 points a game or something in high school. So he's way worse than Bronny.
Joe, if that happens and Bryce gets drafted by the Lakers, would you? I don't think there's any amount of talking down Xbox could give you, or anyone from Australia or otherwise could talk to you down. You would probably leave the channel for good, I would imagine.
What if LeBron retires and then buys the Lakers from Genie?
I want Genie to sell this team to the Guggenheims. LeBron will never buy an NBA team. Ever. He doesn't have enough money. He'd be a minority owner. That's not an owner. That's a figurehead. The Guggenheims need to buy this team in 5 to 7 years. I'm leaving that window open because Jeannie will start to get to that point where she's probably not going to want to run it. And I'm not giving the team to Jesse and Joey. I don't think those guys know how to run a team. They can't. Financially, they can't. They don't have the resources to run this team in 5 to 7 years. So my educated thoughts is that AEG is also not doing too well. Jeannie at some point is going to hit the wall. She can't pass it on to anybody. She doesn't have any kids. Joey and Jesse are not owners of this team, and by then it's going to be even worse with money people around them. You sell to the Guggenheims, and you let the Guggenheims run the Lakers, and they will run it like the Dodgers, and we will be very happy. I'm waiting on that because I truly believe that that's the only bright thing we have going here for the future.
We'll close the note on what Kurt says. Kurt Affair, always the guy with the zingers. Wait until Zuri James joins the Lakers, indeed.
Why is that funny? Why is that funny?
Well, it's funny to me, and I'll just leave it
Why?
at that. Seems like it's funny to Stone as well. So.
No, he's laughing at you, not laughing with you.
No, I'm always laughing at you, man. So, you. On that note, it is the Lakers fast break.
What
Join
if his
us
grandkids come and play for the Lakers?
Xbox says if she's hot, she can join. Okay. Sound like cool, bro. There, Xbox.
Now it's getting weird.
Yes. And on that note, it is, of course, the Lakers fast break NBA observations. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow for pregame, postgame, nightcap, and all the fun on playback.tv/Lakers fast break as the Lakers face off against Memphis. Remember, AD looks like he's a go. D'Angelo looks like he's go. Jackson, maybe. We don't know with the high ankle sprain. We'll find out. I'll keep updates on Twitter. Christian Wood's out for another 4 weeks. So no Christian Wood for a while, but we'll at least have most of the team ready and waiting for the Memphis Grizzlies tomorrow, right here on the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Lakers will win tomorrow, Devotion. Lakers will win.
And Anthony Edwards.
The show is called NBA Observations, so it has NBA players.
Why are the
including-
Celtics? Oh, there's LeBron. Never mind.
You just said that at the beginning of the show.
Why is Jerry West missing an arm?
I don't.